Hello, Steve White, Steve Arts 89. Well, the Celebration Tour is here. We've had the premiere. The dust has settled. People starting to talk about it, post videos and photos and reviews, and fans are being interviewed and talking about their experiences already. And overall, it was well received. There were a couple of issues, but that's it. The main sort of thing that happened was were some technical difficulties, which were sort of exaggerated in the press. It was a matter of, I think a couple of transitions were a bit off, but overall there was a problem with burning up, and then she stopped and she had to fill about 15 minutes while they pushed the reset button. She started telling stories about her life in New York and that, and when she started off, and she could have done that all night. I would have been fine to sit and listen to that. But Bob the drag queen came out and told some jokes, and she didn't finish her story about going to London. But either way, they got the music working, and she went on with Open Your Heart and continued on with the concert. But it got exaggerated into, in some stories, that the show itself had been cut short by technical difficulties, that or that the arena had shut down the show because she'd gone past 11 o'clock, and somehow the ending had been cut short or something. And I sort of looked into that, and that's not what happened. But what did happen were a lot of fans were disappointed by the ending itself, as I believe it went as it was supposed to, but it was just very underwhelming. It didn't have a build-up or a big sort of wow final moment. It was just sort of like celebration, and then Madonna started singing like a chorus of music, and all the dancers who were dressed as her sort of went off the stage during that, and then she just sort of dropped into the stage, into the trap door sort of thing, and then the lights went off, and that was the end. And people sort of thought that there was going to be an encore or something, but the lights came up and that was the end of the show. And some people were like, I hear some fans were sort of talking more about the weird sort of disappointing ending than they were about how great the show leading up to that was. And that's the problem. Sometimes a bad last impression can, sort of overpower the overall good impression of the overall show. But apparently that sort of got confused, and people thought that was a result of the technical difficulties and the arena sort of being after 11 o'clock and all that, when it really wasn't. It was just badly planned. And the good thing is they can tweak that. I'm sure she can pump that up. But it's just sort of surprising, because she's usually really good with the the entrances and the sort of the endings of the shows. It's usually just sometimes in the middle where they lose people if they've got new sort of songs people don't know. But so that was sort of weird. Overall, the sound was great. I was expecting her to rework all the music to the point that it was unrecognisable, but she didn't do that. They all sound like themselves, and just hearing the songs sort of, as they're supposed to be, sort of takes you back and really engages you. And I'm just really glad they got that right, because the other staging stuff that was a bit off, they can tweak that, they can change that. The important thing, of course, is the music, and they got that right. Now, they did miss a couple of songs out, like Express Yourself and Material Girl and Frozen, and I noticed Girl Gone Wild and 4 Minutes and Sorry weren't in there. But overall, all the eras and albums were represented really well, and overall the show looks good. The stage was a little bit smaller and wasn't as impressive as I thought. The screens do occupy a lot of space and give a lot of images, but it didn't feel very high-tech. It didn't feel big. I didn't feel like it sort of was competing with, like, the Eras tour stage and Beyonce's stage and that. And I sort of was a little underwhelmed by that. But Madonna ultimately doesn't need that. But they were talking it up beforehand, like, this is the most expensive staging she's ever had and all this. And I think that was just PR, just to get people to buy tickets. I don't think it actually was on the stage. So that was disappointing. But, these disappointments come because we have expectations. Some of them are given to us by people doing PR, which they shouldn't do that. But others we sort of have. And then once you sort of see the show, you know what it is. You start to appreciate what the show is, and you love it for what it is. And, it doesn't sort of matter so much if the first concert or so, the first impressions weren't what you were expecting. The only other sort of criticisms that I've found were of the merchandise. Some people, of course, noted that the program, the tour book, isn't there, and I'm guessing it's just late, because I've heard in the past they came after the show a couple of times. Like the first week they didn't have the programs, so assuming they'll have that. But the other issue was some of the VIP packages. People were complaining that there's no big wow sort of item in there, like the MDNA and Rebel Heart VIP packages. You got the books, and this one you don't really have anything that really stands out. So some people were complaining about Some people were commenting that the Girly Show jacket goes a bit big, and the Blonde Ambition jacket runs a bit small, so some people were buying them and finding they were a bit too snug, and some people were sort of going to sell them to other fans and buy bigger ones. That's fine with me because I generally have trouble finding clothes that are small enough because I'm not big built. So that doesn't bother me. I was really happy to hear that, but upset a few fans. So people were commenting on that. And that's about it. So there weren't really any big issues. Like the sound thing was obviously huge. They just stopped the concert and that, but it just meant she spent some time talking to fans, which I don't think was a bad thing overall. So I don't think it hurt the concert. And it wasn't planned, but they probably should have had a moment like that where she gets to slow down and just talk to the fans and sort of humanise herself, because otherwise she just sort of is sort of like a machine up there, and you sort of need to sort of identify and realise that they're actually real and actually, connect with the audience on that sort of level. So I don't think it hurt the show, and I think they should make sure there's a section like that in the shows from now on, because it doesn't appear like one was really planned. And that's really about it. I can't think of anything else. I thought I heard Love Song and Where's the Party in the set list, but it's not listed in the set list. When you go through the set list, there's Nothing Really Matters, Everybody, Into the Hollywood Groove, Burning Up, Open Your Heart, Holiday, In This Life, Live to Tell, Unholy, Like a Prayer. That's where I thought I heard Love Song. Act of Contrition, Living for Love, Fever, Erotica, You Thrill Me, Papa Don't Preach, Justify My Love, Fever, Hung Up on Tokishita, Hung Up, Bad Girl, Up Down Sweet, Vogue, Break My Soul, Walk For Me, I don't know what that is, Human Nature, Crazy For You, The Beast Within, Die Another Day, Don't Tell Me, Mother and Father, Little Star, which I think she just did for Lola on that night, but I'm not sure, I Will Survive, La Isla Bonita, Don't Cry For Me Argentina, I Don't Search I Find, Bedtime Story, Ray of Light, Rain, Like a Virgin, Billie Jean, Give Me All Your Lovin', Bitch I'm Madonna, Celebration of Music. The only other odd thing I heard, because I've heard lots of different versions of the show and people sort of talking about it, and one person said they thought they heard Angel after Billie Jean Michael Jackson tribute, and they thought she was going to go into Angel, which I think was rumoured, but that she didn't. And then other people were saying that they thought she was going to go into Like a Virgin. And I'm like, didn't she do Like a Virgin? It's in the set list. I thought I heard it. So there does seem to be a little bit of confusion with some people's recollections or some of the set lists and things that are being written up and that. But overall, the music was a good representation of her whole career. Every era and album was covered. It sounded great. It sounded familiar. They sounded like they should have. And the show looked good. The costumes were interesting. I loved the nun veil outfit and the black corset. The overall staging, it was nice. It just wasn't as big as I was expecting. Like the Rings of Fire and the Rings of Light were there, but apparently the rising sort of circle stage sections didn't turn into the Like a Virgin cake from the MTV Awards, which people thought it was going to become. So there were little things like that. Some people were kind of scared that when she was up in the box that was floating around, because she was dancing a bit wildly in some of that. And the cube during Bedtime Story was interesting. The outfit with like the mirror cat suit and that was all interesting. It all looked good. I mean, this tour is going to fit in with all the other tours as one of her great tours, and there's really no issues with it, just a couple little things. I hope they sort of do something with the ending, because I think it does sort of, it's a bad way to end. It's kind of flat. But aside from that, unless they continue to have technical difficulties and have to stop the show, I think it's going to be a good run. I mean, she didn't dance as much. People commented on that, but I'd rather that than her push herself too hard and not get through the whole tour. There's talk that it could extend, but there's no proof of that. There's some rumours about some venues booked in places as far out as 2025. I'm not sure. There's talk that she might sort of have a bit of a sticky and sweet sort of break and then come back and extend the tour and do a really big sort of final, turn it into a farewell tour. But I think mostly that's speculation and what fans want to happen, particularly ones who are in areas where there aren't any concerts, planned at this point. I'm not planning to see the concert. I'm not planning to travel, and it's not coming to Australia. So I'm a little disappointed because I didn't care about Madame X. I didn't care that I missed it. I didn't like the show. But this show actually does look good. It's not as big as some of the other tours. It doesn't feel as big in some ways, but it has, you know, all the great songs. It has all the great moments there. And I really enjoyed that. I mean, she's even got Cher saying she's mean, and, you know, sort of archival footage, and sort of it does cover some of her story. It just wasn't as well constructed as I thought, and the way they sort of built it up like it was a biofilm in concert. I just hate it when they sort of do that PR stuff, and it just leads to disappointment if they sort of promise things that aren't there. But either way, it looks good, and I'm looking forward to sort of seeing what happens as it goes on. But yeah, I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Thanks. Bye.